Hi guys, so it's really hard to make jokes about Ebola, so bear with me on how I incorporate them into the video. So the Ebola virus was discovered by Professor Peter Pyatt, a Belgian microbiologist at the Institute of Tropical Medicine in Antwerp, after someone sent him a thermos of the sample of Ebola from the Times outbreak that centered at the Ebola River in 1976. And this is this handsome devil. Isn't he fantastic? Thank you for discovering Ebola for us. So the outbreak in March 21st, 2014 was the largest outbreak since its discovery, so it's still pretty scary to scientists. It has a mortality rate of 50 to 90%, and symptoms don't really be found till 2 or 21 days after it's contracted, and it can be found through sexual contact, or any body fluids shared between people. And so what does it actually do to people? Well, the following images show you what it actually does. And if you hate gross pictures, don't look at them. I don't want to be responsible for anyone throwing up on the floor. I warned you. So the lady right here is bleeding from her mouth and her ears, and this is caused by the immune system's SOS to stopping a virus called a cytokine storm, which flood the blood vessels, which in turn, would help. You would think, let's flood the evil Ebola out. Well, it's wrong, because now you're bleeding all over the place and are dying from dehydration and blood loss and shock. The following symptoms are just a few to what I found on the CDC and WHO websites. Yeah, dehydration. So how does Ebola actually work? Well, what it actually does, it infects a dendritic cell, which is the Paul Revere of our immune system. Yes. It warns all the other cells like, hey, we have a virus, we have an intruder, sorry for my English, and it infects it. Well, if it infects the dendritic cell, then it can't warn other cells like lymphocyte cells to attack it. So, thank you, Paul Revere, for failing at your job and becoming an Ebola factory. So what causes Ebola? Well, scientists are still unsure as to what the main source cause of Ebola is. They know that it's at the Ebola River or the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and believe that it's animal-based or born and mainly in bats. So thank you, Batman. Don't get Ebola, and please don't give bats Ebola, because they're kind of cute. And now, how does one contract Ebola? Well, like I said before, kissing and sex and, all those fun body fluids. So don't kiss anybody you think has Ebola. Don't, kiss animals you think have Ebola. Actually, just don't go kissing rude animals at all. Don't have sex with people who have Ebola, you think. Don't share needles with people who have Ebola. Actually, just don't share needles at all. Don't do drugs that have needles, because that's bad. I should do the chemistry of drugs instead, because looks like fun. Don't be around people you think have Ebola and let them sneeze on you. Don't take pictures of people who are sneezing, because that's kind of gross too. So, how many Americans have been infected by Ebola? Well, what I researched, 4. But the main two you might know are Nancy Wright-Bull and Dr. Kent Brantley. Nancy Wright-Bull was a missionary worker in Liberia and was the first American to contract the disease. Another American was Dr. Kent Brantley, who also received the disease after working in the same area as Wright-Bull, and they both went to America to get cured. Yay! But the sad story is Dr. Martin Celia, who died November 17th, 2014 after contracting the disease. The pattern? They were all working with patients who had Ebola or had Ebola themselves and were in and out of Africa and came to America. So don't do that, guys. Seriously. So what's the cure to Ebola? Well, there's not really one cure, but one you might recognize would be called ZMapp, created in San Diego based in MAP Pharmaceuticals, which was specifically made for Ebola patients and was even given to Wright-Bull and Brantley, which cured them. The drug is a cocktail of antibodies and tobacco plants, which help get rid of the foreign antigens or anything that triggers a response from the immune system, and in this case, Ebola. However, this is no guarantee of being the cure. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services have already provided almost $25 million towards ZMapp manufacturers for funding. Other cures would be intensive care, controlling a victim's oxygen levels and blood pressure, balancing electrolytes, and treating any other infections that might occur. So thank you, Japan, for giving us creepy Ebola-chan, or you creepy white kids who just do these weird memes. They're gross and creepy, and thank you for listening. I love you guys. Bye!